So today, I receive a bad news. Since the start of the pandemic, I've been working under the COVID floor. And now, the nurse who's been taking care of the COVID patient is now positive with the COVID virus. I knew this day was coming, but I never expected it will happen to me this way. Or I get it this way. And on my first day, I had it really bad. To the point wherein I fainted and fell on the floor. Yes, that bad. And it was a first for me. First in my entire life. I never fainted ever before. So for everyone's benefit, I'll be sharing my experience so you guys can benefit and learn something from my COVID experience. I will share the symptoms I've gone through, how I got the virus or how I think I possibly got the virus, and the treatment process and other stuff. There's been a surge of increase for the COVID cases in our community, and our hospital is no exception to that. I am not 100% sure how I got the virus, but it started with one of my colleagues who, let's call her Nurse 2. She works in a day shift, and when she did her endorsement to my other nurse who works in the same shift with me, let's call her Nurse 3, they were doing a close endorsement. Of course, they have to use the computer and everything. So they had to talk and be with each other within less than 6 feet around, but they were wearing a mask. Then both of them are both asymptomatic, like no symptoms. Then in our COVID unit, usually we wear the whole set, the PPE, the P100 or the mask, the face shield, the gown, the boots, the gloves, the whole PPE set whenever we go into the patient's room. Then when we go out, we take everything out. Then in our station, we normally stay apart from each other. Normally like 6 to 12 feet apart because the station is quite big and there's only 2 of us working. And whenever we go close to each other, we wear a mask. So that's our typical setup in our COVID floor unit. But on the following day, Nurse 2 had some symptoms of it. And on the next day, she had her test done and it came back positive. And on that same day, Nurse 3 was also having some symptoms. And on the following day, she tested and she was also positive. She messaged me at 2 p.m. that she was positive or confirmed positive. So I think that's how I got it. Breathing the same air that Nurse 2 and Nurse 3 have been moving around the unit. So probably that's how I got the virus. Then for the symptoms, when Nurse 3 messaged me that she was positive, for me, I was only having like a slight sore throat. And I wasn't sure if I was already having the COVID symptoms. Because every time when I wake up from a deep sleep, maybe from snoring, I do have some mild sore throat. So I wasn't sure yet. But around 8 p.m., I started feeling weird. I was having some body aches and also I was having some headaches, which is quite not normal for me, especially for the headache. I rarely have headaches. Then around 10 p.m., my feeling got worse. I was feeling bad. I was feeling weak. It felt like I was having a fever or developing a fever. When I checked my temperature, it was 99.5. Then on that point, I might have realized that I might have had the COVID as well or got infected from my colleagues because I was having the fever and also having some of the few symptoms. So I was worried, but I was still okay. So I just took some Tylenol for the body aches, for the headache, and possibly for the slight fever. Then around 1 a.m., while I was cooking, I suddenly felt dizzy, which is really weird for me. Then I really had to sit down because I was in the point wherein I might faint. That was what I was feeling. I wanted to faint on that time. So I just sat down for 5 minutes, then it went away. So after which I resumed back. By the way, I work in the night shift, so usually I'm awake during the night on my days off. So around 2 a.m., I slept. And when I was sleeping, I was feeling restless. I was having the body aches. I was constantly getting weak every hour. And I was really feeling uneasy. I think there was something going on with my body. And it was feeling kind of really weird for me. Then around 7 a.m., when I woke up, I was feeling really weak. But I needed to pee. Like I really, really needed to pee badly. So I stood up. I went to the bathroom. Since I was feeling weak, I decided just to sit down. And while I was sitting down, peeing, I felt more dizzy. I felt my mind was really blurry and I felt really weird. And I felt really so bad at the time. I actually called out for God, asking for help. I asked, Lord, please help me. Then the next thing I did is I tried to stand up. When I left the bathroom at the doorstep, I felt even more dizzy, like really dizzy. So I said I need to sit down. When I used my next steps, the next thing I could hear was blood. I fell. I fainted. The next thing I could remember is hearing my wife's voice. She was saying, "What happened? Ano nangyari? What happened?" Then I opened my eyes. I saw the wall, and also I saw the floor. And I felt some pain or numbing pain on my head and on my hand. And my wife helped me up and brought me to the bed. Then she noted I was really sweating profusely, like really sweating, and I was cold. She raised my leg, placed some 2 pillows below my legs. She was thinking my blood pressure was quite low. But when she checked, it was only like 116/87, so it was okay. Then when my wife brought me to the bed, I was still having like a blurry mindset. Like everything was a blur. So I wasn't sure what was happening. So then I asked my wife, did I fall? So I wasn't sure really what was happening to me. I was confused, which is I think a classic symptoms of COVID as well, having some slight confusions. And add to that, I forget to mention, when I fell butt naked. Yes, I fell butt naked. I don't know why, after I pee, when I stood up from the bathroom, I didn't pull my shorts. Possibly maybe because I was confused. Possibly. So that's the only reason I can think of. So I was really having a moment of confusion then. So when I was lying down, my wife asked me if I wanted to go to see a doctor or go to a hospital or call the ambulance. The first thing that came into my mind, I will tell you honestly, was my crappy insurance. I had a $5,000 deductible plus a 30% co-insurance. So meaning if I was going to a hospital, I have to pay like $5,000 first plus 30% of some parts of the bill. That high. So I definitely hesitated because I don't want to waste the money. And I think I didn't have the worst classic symptom of the COVID, which is the shortness of breath. So I think I was still good. So I told my wife I just wanted to stay for a few more hours and observe for the whole day first. Then after a few minutes of lying down, I felt better. I was able to drink some more fluids and drink some soup, which made me feel better at that moment. Then afterwards, I slept. Then after waking up, I was generally feeling better, like I was feeling stronger. But I was still having some fever. The highest temp I had on that second day was 99.9. And also I was having some nausea, so I didn't have much appetite. But overall, I was still feeling better as compared to my day 1 experience. Then my cough, on day 3, my dry cough suddenly turned into a productive one. And for the next 4 days, the productive cough really worsens. I was coughing up green, thick phlegm, like continuously. And it was coming in big sizes at the end of the 4th day. Another symptom was I was always sleepy, like always sleepy. I think my body was asking me to rest so it can heal itself. So I was sleeping most of the time. I would be awake maybe 30 minutes to 1 hour maximum. That's why I cannot do anything much. Probably for the 7 days, I slept average on 16 to 20 hours. Yes, I really slept the whole day. For me, I also developed a cold sore, which is really way bigger on my 3rd day. Then on day 5, I suddenly developed diarrhea. It lasted for 2 days. Then on my 7th day, I was feeling better until this day, on the 12th day. I'm really feeling better, almost 100%. The only thing is I'm still having a dry cough from time to time, especially when I'm talking. And sometimes I do have some phlegm output from time to time, but not as bad as the past few days. Then the worst fear that could ever happen to a healthcare worker, especially those working in a COVID floor, is to bring the virus at home and have their loved ones infected. And sad to say, it happened to me. I got my wife infected as well. I was really worried because my wife had some comorbidities, especially for the blood pressure. Because there was no point for her isolating from me because we have been cuddling for more than 24 hours, even before my colleague messaged me that she was positive for the COVID virus. And also, she had to nurse me on my day 1 since I fainted and was really weak. So there was really no point for it. Her symptoms started on my 2nd day. She started with a sore throat first, slight sore throat. Then afterwards, she developed the dry coughing. She only had dry cough, no phlegm, all throughout. And also, her main complaint was her headache, especially in this right side. And she thinks it has something to do with her sinus. Because every time she breathes in, like through her nose, she can really feel a pain running through her right nostril. And it goes right up to this part of the head and at the back. So that's the main complaint for her. She was really having headache all throughout. And until now, on our day 12 or day 11, she's still complaining of headaches. Then she also developed some weakness. So she was also really sleepy. So like I said, we were really sleeping then. It was like 16 to 20 hours for both of us sleeping, including our dog was also sleeping with us. Then on the 10th day, my wife noticed that she lost her sense of taste and sense of smell. For the taste, she can only taste whenever the food goes through the back of her throat, nothing in front of her tongue area. So she couldn't taste well. For the sense of smell, she couldn't even smell those strong air fresheners that we have lying around. Even her cooking, she couldn't smell it. Even the fart smells, she couldn't smell it. Believe me, I tried. Bruh. Then, most of the time, she was feeling really cold. Even though she didn't develop any fever. She never had fever all throughout this period. She was feeling cold even though it was warm. So I think that's one of the symptoms for her. Then also on her day 12, her right eye suddenly turned red or reddish. So that was something new. When I asked the health department about it, some of the other patients also developed something similar to it. But her redness was nothing that bad. It was slightly reddish only. But overall, I think me and my wife are doing good and we're feeling much better from day to day. So we are still thankful and blessed that we didn't have the worst symptoms like the shortness of breath or the low oxygen saturation. Because like for my husband's colleague, his husband now is in the intensive care unit, who was intubated or has a tube running through his mouth or throat just to help him breathe. He had it bad. So please continue sending your prayers, especially for those victims who are really struggling against the fight against this virus. So for the treatments, number one, definitely we needed the rest and sleep. So we let our body heal itself naturally. So we conserve whatever energy we had in our body so the body can use it fighting against the virus. Then number two, since we were having some bouts with the nausea or feeling nauseated, we made sure we ate something. So we ate in small frequent meals. I think that helped us in nourishing us back to normal. And also we drink some of the anti-nausea medications. Like for me, I think this is the only thing I had in here. So I think it really helped me. And hot soups were really a big help for me on my first 3 to 4 days. For us, I mean. Then for the meds, I use a lot of over-the-counter medications. Like for my sore throat, I use this Difflam spray. It really works. I brought this from the Philippines and it really helped me all throughout the sore throat days. And for the cough and cold, I use the Dayquil and NyQuil. I use this every 4 to 6 hours. Until now, I'm still using it. Then on the 8th day, I started using Mucinex. Sing Abreva. It really helps. Cold sore. Then for the vitamins, I'm normally taking Centrum 1 tablet a day. And also by right, you're supposed to drink zinc supplements to help fight this virus. Then we continue monitoring our symptoms and kept on updating our health department about it. We drank more fluids as well. So I think for the treatment-wise, I think mostly that's it, I guess. By the way, I got myself tested on the 5th day. On the first 2 days, I was too weak to have myself go drive and go have myself tested. Then on the 3rd and 4th day, it fell on the weekend. So I had to wait on the 5th day. This was actually my 3rd COVID swab test. And luckily for the 3rd time, they used a small swab stick in doing the swab test. And they did it through the nasal. My first 2 ones was really painful and it caused me to have runny nose 6 to 12 hours afterwards. But this time, since they used the thin one, it really didn't hurt. It felt like more of a tickling sensation up here. Then the results came back 2 days after. And this time, I didn't do it on a drive-thru. I did it walking in to a clinic. That's how they're doing it right now. So what's good in getting sick here in the United States for the COVID virus? Number one, the health department for our county keeps on calling you. They call me every day asking how I'm doing, if I'm doing good, if I need something else, if my symptoms are getting bad, or if I need further help from them. By the way, they sent us a form through the email, an isolation form for my wife, and a quarantine form for me. It's a form of legally asking us to quarantine ourselves or not to roam around the public areas. Then another good thing here is I can order or grocery online via the Walmart application. So I just do my grocery online. add in some of the medications I need as well, then go to the designated place and time and have those things load up on the back of my trunk without any physical contact. As per my health department, I'm allowed to do so as long as there's no physical contact or any contact at all. And keep the door closed and keep the windows closed at all time, isolating yourself inside the car. So Walmart, thank you for this kind of service. It really helps. Then even though I don't have a family living nearby, my Filipino friends, Asian friends, American friends or co-workers, they all offered help for me. And then some of them even brought in delicious food by hanging food on my doorstep or on the doorknob, in which I'm really thankful. Thank you. Thank you for the love, for the support, for the food, and for the prayers. Hope you learned something from my COVID experience. Again, I'm Nurse Juan de la Cruz, your OFW nurse. Thank you for watching and God bless. Bye.